Welcome back. When it comes to nuclear weapons, surprise is not a word you want to hear. But in Donald Trump's case, that is exactly what he did to his own officials. The president declared that he's ordering the Pentagon to test America's nuclear stockpile, breaking a moratorium that's been in place since George H.W. Bush was in office 33 years ago. Why? Well, Trump says that this is in response to rival nations building up their weapons. For one, sources say that demand caught his advisors off guard. And two, the Department of Energy is the department that historically is actually in charge of those tests, not the Department of Defense. So here's the explanation from Trump's vice president, which is a bit different from what Trump said, and frankly, not all that reassuring.
We have a big arsenal, obviously. The Russians have a large nuclear arsenal. The Chinese have a large nuclear arsenal. Sometimes you've got to test it to make sure that it's functioning and working properly.
So this is one of those weird issues where you're like, where did this even come from? But I also wonder, I mean, lots of questions here, but I want to play what Trump said aboard Air Force One on Friday about the nuclear testing. Listen to this.
Are you talking about literally resuming underground nuclear detonation tests?
You'll find out very soon, but we're going to do some testing, yeah. Other countries do it. If they're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Okay, you can't clarify whether you'll resume.
I'm not going to say yet. I mean, I know exactly what we're doing, where we're doing it, but other countries are doing it.
Again, I'm not sure what he's talking about because other countries really aren't doing it. Nuclear testing hasn't happened from Russia or China since the 90s also. So where is this coming from, and why is he suddenly putting nuclear testing, which actually the moratorium is designed to be a part of a disarmament posture for the whole globe? Why is he putting that back on the table for all of us, Lydia?
Yeah, well, first, I think it's important context to note that Donald Trump has a platform of peace through strength. I think he's arguably brokered more peace deals than any other president in modern history. So I think that's important to be aware of as we're having this conversation. And the peace through strength is such an important element of this. So he wants to deter China or Russia from potentially being more aggressive. And I would note, actually, this comes as obviously he was headed to discussions with President Xi. But this week, Putin also successfully tested a nuclear-powered drone and announced the trial of a nuclear-capable missile. So
that's
those
a totally
reports
different situation.
But I think those reports are coming out, and he wants to send a message a signal of strength.
But those are not even remotely the same thing. I mean, we also test the underlying weaponry that has the potential to carry nuclear weapons, but we don't actually test the weapons.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if it's that Trump doesn't understand this, that he hasn't been briefed, but then the reporting that he's blindsiding his own team, also deeply troubling. We're talking about nuclear weapons. This is not like patty cake.
To your point, I had a chance to speak with David Sanger, who is the nuclear weapons correspondent for The Times, and he said exactly what you're saying. Perhaps Trump is confused with this delivery system, this vehicle that you just spoke of that Putin has, and he thinks perhaps maybe it's the same as testing a nuclear weapon, but they are not the same. And if this person stands on this platform of peace, as you just speak of, this doesn't promote peace. In fact, that alerts everyone else that it is time to start testing our nuclear. If you're going to dust yours off, I'll dust mine off too.
And that's what they're saying. So here's what the Kremlin says. Up until now, we have not known that anyone was testing. If someone withdraws from the moratorium, Russia will act accordingly. Iranian foreign minister. A nuclear-armed bully is resuming testing of atomic weapons. The announcement of a resumption of nuclear tests is a regressive and irresponsible move and a serious threat to international peace and security. I don't think we should be taking lectures from Iran, but also why are we doing this when we have been the ones leading and asking other countries not to test?
Well, there's a lot of categories of things that America used to lead on and now is not. We've decided, as part of this sort of populist revolt on the right and left, but now governing so on the right, that we are not so fond of multinational, multilateral institutions, of those treaties, of those organizations. And so we are selectively, systematically withdrawing from a lot of them in such a way so it's no longer a unipolar world. It is a world that everyone has their little spheres of influence.
What do you think is the consequence, though, of all of this?
Well, it's predictable. I mean, you could have seen this coming 10 years ago when Trump first came on the world stage and talked to his generals at the time about possibly withdrawing from NATO or withdrawing from Article 5 duties to defend other NATO countries when attacked. What is going to happen is that he does believe in peace through strength, absolutely, but he also likes to be a little bit unpredictable and erratic because he thinks that way he can leverage and sort of scare people to the table. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, there's going to be more of an arms race and a nuclear arms race as a result.
Or it makes him look out of touch. Because it makes him look like he doesn't understand his own nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, or his own various agencies, because as you pointed out, this testing is actually done by the Department of Energy. But look, I find it very ironic that a couple months ago, Donald Trump's own nuclear official in charge of testing, Syracuse, New York's very own Brandon Williams, actually said, I would not advise testing. This is just a couple months ago before Congress. And so look, we clearly don't need a global arms race. President Trump is simply wrong. The last time there was explosive nuclear testing, it was done by North Korea in 2017. And so none of us as Americans, as global citizens, we don't need a global arms race.
Maybe it's as simple as being just unpredictable. Maybe that's a weapon for him. Maybe it's just as simple.
That's always the excuse.
Create the
rationale.
chaos and see what happens next.
It's very
have any of you guys seen this Netflix movie?
Yes. The House of Dynamite.
Yeah, The House of Dynamite.
I understand that one doesn't sleep afterwards.
Well,
yeah, it's a very unnerving movie.
It is very unnerving.
And it's about it's about our leaders, what they would do, honestly, in a nuclear crisis, and it's not reassuring to say the least. But it's actually interesting because that movie prompted the Department of Defense to push back on it because. Spoiler alert, in the film, the interceptors that are supposed to stop these nuclear bombs don't work. And then they said, the Missile Defense Agency said that is based on earlier prototypes, and today's interceptors have displayed 100% accuracy in testing for more than a decade. So they're not thrilled about this movie, but other parts of this movie people should be concerned about, which is that our political leaders, the ones who are not like experts in this stuff, are going to be the ones deciding who lives and who dies in a situation of a nuclear attack. And that's a very serious question. And Trump, I don't know, it's not very reassuring that Trump doesn't even know what agency is responsible.
Or that someone within his agency is saying that he doesn't think that it's smart. Brandon Williams saying that it's smart to do it. All of these things say that it leads to, back to your earlier point of unpredictability, and perhaps he feels like ruling by chaos does keep other countries at bay. I don't know. You asked a really great question. What is the consequence? I don't know what the consequence would be. My hope would think that it would be nothing but disaster for us. Nothing great can come out of it.
Yeah, Donald Trump seems to want to continue to govern like he's negotiating a real estate deal in Manhattan. But at the end of the day, this is the safety and prosperity of hundreds of millions of Americans and the world.
I mean, Lydia, how do you feel about Trump putting our nuclear posture back on the table after all this time? We fought so hard to get out of the Cold War, where everybody was hiding under their desks, concerned that there was a bomb going to be dropped on them. Are we really trying to get back there again?
No, I don't think we're trying to get back there. And I think I would caveat a lot of what he's saying with knowing that he doesn't want war. He's prioritizing peace. And I think, to your point, sometimes he chooses to be a little erratic to keep people on their toes. I would say that's probably what's going on here.
He is also, it should be noted, has said several times in the past, and I actually believe him when he says this, that he would love to see a nuclear-free world. Ronald Reagan used to say the same things in the 1980s. Democrats mocked him, but we've come to understand that actually was something that he genuinely believed in. I think Trump has that idea first, but it is in sort of in incoherent tension with the way that he is approaching the world.
Yeah.